Hey guys, welcome back to Planet Luna. My name is Robin, and in today's video I'm going to be moving into this new bullet journal for the new year of 2022. So let's get into it. The overall theme for this year is neutral rustic with doodles. My idea is to continue the doodles throughout the year wherever they fit in any month and theme. The neutral and rustic things will be used whenever I make something for the year in general and not just the specific month. So starting the cover page, I just use a variety of paper to collage together to make it look a bit rustic, and then with a black Tombow marker just wrote 2022 at the bottom and let's make it a better year at the top. Then I added doodles with a regular pen. For the doodles, I kept it a light galaxy theme with planets and stars, but also included other things as well. The reason why I chose the words "let's make it better" is because I honestly want 2022 to be better than the recent years, and hopefully will be a little bit more normal. The paper that I used included regular craft paper and craft sticky notes, and the very light paper at the top is actually from a small paper shop in Japan I found in 2018. The shop is called Kamiso, I hope I said that correctly, and it's from Kyoto. I not only have the plain paper but also this floral patterned paper, and it's the first time I am using it ever since 2018. I haven't used any of it because I just think it's so beautiful, and I also stored the paper in its original packaging, which is all made of paper. This paper is handmade and very delicate, and I will try to link the shop down below, but I also have been trying to make sure that the business card is shown clearly in the video, which you can see towards the left. So my previous bullet journal was a Moleskine in the size B5, and don't get me wrong, I loved it. It gave me a lot of space to do different layouts and ended up lasting me for 2 whole years with a few trial and errors. However, I did find that was a bit big at most times, and I ended up having trouble with filling pages, which is why I moved into an A5 journal. I also found that the paper was on the thinner side, which meant that I ripped the paper a lot as I have a heavier hand than most. It also meant that it does not hold a lot of art supplies. But if you are someone who wants to keep it simple, I would recommend a Moleskine if it is in your budget. For my goals page, I just created a simple heading and separated the page into 4 as I came with 4 categories of personal, art, YouTube, and social media. I used the craft paper again for 2 sections to create a sense of difference, and then I just used a fine liner to write in the headings. I never really liked setting goals for myself, especially since they forced us to do that in school. That is probably another topic for another video. But yeah, I thought that this year would be good to start with something simple. So my new bullet journal now is the Notebook Therapy Suki Dolphin Days journal. It is A5 and it's quite simple, and the paper is quite thick. You also get a gold paper clip with it, which I find quite cute, and I believe the design changes with the front cover. So because I got a dolphin design on the front cover, the paper clip is also a dolphin. With the notebook, there's also a back cover pocket to store things, which I always find useful with the small little things you don't know where to put. There's also a page at the front for you to put your name and information, but I already did that before filming, so I did not film it. I actually also tested the paper at the back of the book, and from what I tested, it can handle watercolor pencils. I haven't tested out regular watercolors yet, but I'm sure it can hold a little bit. Tombow markers and all sorts of fine liners also work. I also tested out Copics, and there was a little bit of bleeding, but not so much. So next up is the overall yearly trackers, in which there's only 2. Overall, I'm tracking my money and my weight. I never really tracked either before, but thought that it would be cool to just see what happens. The layout for these trackers are graphs, so each month is on the x-axis. Yes, it is. Wow, I'm just out of school and I already forgot how graphs work. And then the weight and money amounts are on the y-axis. I spaced each month and number at every 2 grid boxes, as it just fits better on the page for this size. And the amounts on the y-axis is going up by 5s for weight and 500 for money. For the heading and the graphs in general, I just used an 0.3 fine liner for all and wrote in cursive and drawn in the graphs. The papers were placed randomly. I didn't want to place too many pieces, otherwise it could be hard for me to write, especially since I used liquid glue, which makes the paper buckle a little. The cover of the journal actually surprised me. When buying, I thought the cover would be smooth and matte, but it ended up being this like furry leather texture, which I was not expecting at all. But all that means is that there's quite a grip on any surface. I also forgot to mention that there's actually 2 bookmarks instead of 1, which can be quite useful for some. So for the year at a glance, I did another Dutch door spread like last year's, where each side has 3 months. I also included the little tabs on the side, which is colored 2 different grays. When drawing out the spread, I found that only 1 grid space could be taken out, so I didn't really put a heading or anything, which made it easier to cut out the pages. And when coloring in the tabs, I used a ruler for a crisp inner line and a spare piece of paper to make sure that the ink doesn't go onto the other pages. So like I said earlier, each side has 3 months, and so I used an 0.5 fine liner to draw in each line in between the months. I then used the same fine liner to write the 3-letter abbreviation in sort of like a simple block font of each month. And using an 0.3 fine liner, I wrote in all the days for the mini months and then used an 0.1 fine liner for every single number. Just a little tip, whenever I have to write a mini month or the whole entire year at Year of the Glances, I always have my phone or device on the calendar next to me so then I don't mess up. I also will put the end dates first, so for this case I put every Saturday and Sunday number, so then I only have to fill in the weekdays. By the way, the fine liners that I use are from Unipin. They are my favorite and will be linked down in the description below. So the last touch for the Year at a Glance is alternating light grey lines. For this I used the Tombow marker in the color N95 and just went over every other line twice. This just adds a little more detail and makes it easier to differentiate between the different dates. One thing I did find with the journal is that on some pages the dot grid doesn't exactly match up to the next page, so you may see a few things in the setup where the spreads don't evenly match up over 2 pages. It is only a little bit though and doesn't really bother me. I don't think it's constant with all their books and it's probably a problem with this specific batch. Despite its smaller overall size, this journal is actually thicker, so I do hope that it lasts me the year. I know others like Amanda Rachley actually uses 2 journals for 1 year, and I do have a backup just in case, but I don't do as many quote pages or larger layouts as she does because keeping it compact is actually better for me personally. And now that we're done the general year, it's now time to move on to January. For January, I went with a simple washi tape and sticker collage theme where I was able to add the Doodle Galaxy theme on top of that. So for the cover page of January, I just used a Tombow marker in black and wrote January in cursive in the middle. Then I added pieces of tape and stickers, and using a regular gel pen, I drew in the doodles. I will try to link all the tapes and stickers I used down in the description, but I don't think that I can name every single one. If you're wondering about a grid spacing page, I actually find those really annoying to set up and to use, especially since a lot of my spreads have different spacing needs. So I just end up using a ruler to measure the spacing that I want. But because this is a brand new journal, I tried to set one up in the back and it did not turn out well. So I'm not including it in this video, but if you guys want to see it, then just comment down below and maybe post it up on Instagram or something. For the mini month, I used a fine liner in 0.5 to write January at the top and make a 7x5 grid with the days at the top. I put January 30th and 31st in the first row as it just looks nicer than adding an extra row for the month. For the squares that are not being used, I use an 0.1 fine liner and put a dot in the middle of each dot square. This gives the effect of being centered out. Using an 0.3 fine liner, I wrote in the days, and I did mess them up by putting Monday first, so I just used whiteout and redid them. For the trackers, I used the same pens as I did for the mini months at the year at a glance, and I only have 4 trackers for this month. For decoration, it's pretty much the same with stickers, tape and doodles. Now for the weekly spreads, you probably already know that I do all my weekly spreads at once, and to not bore you, I only film the first week, which starts on a Saturday. So I had to rearrange a bit for this week while adding in 2 more days, but you will see in the flip through what the weeks are actually meant to look like. But basically Monday to Saturdays are meant to have a large box, while Sunday and the note space for next week will get a smaller box in the last column. At the top of each last column there is also a small box where I just write January and the dates the week sure. Each box has a 2-dot grid space in between each other, and I use a 0.5 fine liner to draw in all the lines and an 0.1 fine liner to write in the dates and the days. The decorations pretty much stay the same, and just a small tip, if you put washi tape down the spine, I recommend making a cut so then your journal doesn't get too thick and that it can fold properly. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video and have gathered inspiration for your own bullet journal. Hit the like button if you liked it, hit subscribe if you want to, and also the notification bell to know when I upload next, and I hope to see you guys on Planet Luna again. So bye!